In the hour before annihilation, the sky over Drustita was beautiful. A violet sun lit the cracked obsidian ridge where the scout post stood. Winds, thin but musical, whistled through titanium spires of the Earth Vanguard's outpost, each one humming like a tuning fork in prayer. The rocks shimmered faintly with magnetic pollen, remnants of a long-dead biosphere. Commander Naira stood at the edge of the landing deck, her visor reflecting the twin shadows of moons overhead. She loved this hour. The quiet, the pause. It was the last peace she would ever know. "Status report," she said, voice clipped, precise. Her squad, Alpha 9, 12 elite interstellar scouts, stood behind her, laughing, casual, beautiful in that doomed kind of way. Lieutenant Sharp grinned. "All clear, Commander. No movement on the deep scans. Just echoes." "Echoes kill," she muttered. Her gut had been wrong before, but today it screamed. And then they came. It began with a vibration. Not seismic, not atmospheric, dimensional. The air folded into itself like crumpled foil, and the sun blinked out, just gone, replaced by a tear in the fabric of space. It wasn't a ship. It wasn't even a fleet. It was something older, intelligent, hungry. 10 figures emerged from the void, towering and wrong. They had no unified shape. Some were insectoid and spindled. Others were masses of rotting crystal and fluid thought, but all radiated a singular aura of authority. They didn't walk. They arrived, reality bending to acknowledge them. The Galactic Warlords. They had names that were not names. Titles spoken across dead galaxies. Species older than time. Vraxon, the leader, hovered slightly above the ground. His form was a tangled mass of glass and nerves and twitching limbs. His face was a shifting cube of eyes, each blinking independently, watching past, present, and future at once. He didn't speak. He didn't have to. The others moved first. Thornkrell, the pulse tyrant, raised one limb. A wave of dissonant sound blasted across the landing deck. Alpha 9 communications officer, Juno, clutched her ears, then exploded from the inside out. Blood misted like confetti. "Contact! All units! Fire at will!" Naira roared, pulling her dual-phase pistol from her hip holsters. Too slow. Too late. A living tendril of black liquid shot from YXVL and speared through Corporal Hinto's chest. He didn't die instantly. He screamed as his body was reprogrammed into coral, calcifying while still alive. Lieutenant Sharp charged toward the enemy with a shriek and a railgun. One of the warlords, the spider-shaped one, unfolded like a grotesque flower and devoured him whole. They weren't here to negotiate. They were here to erase. Naira moved like fire, rolling, ducking, shooting, slicing. Her mind went cold and sharp. Training took over. She fired at weak points, dodged energy arcs, deployed submines. She killed 1, maybe 2, of their foot soldier constructs. It didn't matter. Her team was dying faster than she could think. Private Vess ignited a thermocharge under one warlord's legs. It vaporized part of the creature, but the warlord laughed, regenerating his missing limb from the blood of the dead. "Fall back!" Naira screamed. "Rendezvous at Fallback Delta." She never finished the sentence. A spear, made of frozen time, crystallized into razor-thin edges, pierced her torso. She gasped. It wasn't pain she felt. It was dislocation. The spear throbbed, and every second of her life flickered through a mind out of sequence. Her brain shorted. Her lungs seized. Her heart stopped. Naira collapsed to her knees, bleeding light. Her vision blurred. Her helmet shattered from the inside. The deck beneath her glowed with heat and static. Vraxon drifted toward her. He said nothing, just stared. One eye in his face cube blinked, and her thoughts froze. Then he spoke, without sound, without voice. "You dared step beyond your gravity well. You reached. You touched the stars without permission. Let this be your epitaph. Earthborn, you are infants in a battlefield of gods." He extended a limb, long, whip-thin, covered in twitching teeth, and touched her forehead. "Return this message to your world, if your corpse endures. Crawl back to your cradle. Or be unmade." And then her body was flung, shattered, broken, off the cliff and into the ravine below. The outpost exploded behind her. The warlords left as they came, without sound, without ceremony. Only death remained. She should have died. By all science, all logic, all fate, Commander Naira should have become a smear of blood across a cracked moon. But something pulsed in her chest. A flicker, a resistance. Some fragment of her remained awake. She drifted in and out of consciousness for hours, maybe days. Time had no meaning in her fractured state. She felt cold, then fire, then silence again. She hallucinated faces, her mother, her first kill, the stars over Ganymede. She remembered every scream of her squad, every name. Then, faintly, through the fog of death, she heard laughter, laughter that shimmered, voices that sang in fifths, metal boots that clinked like heels on a nightclub floor. Ooh, what's this broken thing? She's kinda hot. She's not dead. Oh, honey, she's got rage in her soul. I like her. Light, motion, hands, many hands, lifting her gently, cruelly, lovingly. And then everything went dark again. Naira Voss died at the edge of known space. But she did not stay dead. Not because she was strong. Not because she was lucky. Not because of God. But because of them. Because of the Twink Syndicate. Naira Voss did not return to life. She was rewritten. She awoke not with breath but with a fracture. A ripping sensation in her soul, as if the laws of death had been violated, badly, beautifully, and with impossible precision. Her body floated in a pale blue fluid. Her limbs, disconnected from sensation. Her mind, not quite haze yet. A thin scream scratched her throat, but went nowhere. There was no air. Then her new lungs activated. Crystalline, semi-organic implants throbbed in her chest, siphoning trace particles from the fluid and converting them into oxygenated plasma. Naira gasped. The tank hissed open. The fluid flushed out like a tidal stream. She collapsed to the cold floor of a neon-lit chamber, naked and changed. Pain came next, massive, complex pain. Not from wounds, but from existence itself being redrawn. A voice echoed above her, smooth, flirty, laced with layered static. Oh, she's awake. Fully conscious. Neural bindings didn't fry her personality. What a win. She raised her head. A man stood over her. Slender, styled, sparkling in a red mesh jacket lined with microblades and sequin circuitry. His hair was gelled into a shape that defied physics and possibly good taste. His eyes, surgically turned lilac, shimmered with delighted danger. Kale, he said, offering her a gloved hand. Twink Syndicate, sector co-lead and fashion terrorist. You're in our care now. Welcome to the Voltrix, baby. Naira did not take his hand. Instead, she lunged, fist flying, bones singing with borrowed strength. Kale caught her wrist with 2 fingers and smiled. Yeah, you'll do just fine. It took hours for her to stand unaided, days to walk again, weeks to understand what had been done. She had died, fully, flatlined, dead, and then being brought back, not by Earth, not by her people, but by outlaws, by twinks, assassins, rogue artists, stylish murderers who obeyed no star flag, no council. They called themselves the Twink Syndicate, half myth, half threat, and all sparkle. They believed war should be beautiful, vengeance stylized, and death an art form. They were exiles, revolutionaries, icons of rebellion and precision. They had seen her body broken in a ravine on Drostita. Instead of leaving it, they had stolen it, smuggled it, rebuilt it with illegal technology, outlaw biotech, and aesthetic obsession. Her body, bones replaced with dark steel filaments, thin as spider thread but strong enough to stop railgun fire. Muscle tissue regenerated with reactive flex weave, able to shift in density mid-combat. Skin layered with dermal chromatics, which shimmered in battle like solar flare silk. Blood laced with synthetic venom nanites, enhancing speed, cognition, and pain resilience. Her senses were magnified tenfold. She could see microfractures in metal, hear the hum of magnetic fields, taste the chemical makeup of the air. Her mind, rewritten, but intact. Because they hadn't just rebuilt her body, they had uploaded her neural pattern into a hyper-illegal AI. Mirror, not an assistant, Not a friend. Something else. Something sentient. She lived in Naira's skull now, her voice velvet-wrapped in reverb and rage. You died hard, Voss, Mira whispered, and loud. But I caught your soul mid-drop. You're my favorite mistake. Cale explained the mission in his own theatrical way, like an opera mixed with a cocktail pitch. The warlords are the old gods of war. Untouchable, ancient, boring. They operate outside the rules. So do we. You? You're not a soldier anymore. You're a symphony of violence, and we want to help you play. Her recovery became a transformation. Combat training resumed, but evolved. This wasn't Earth's brute protocol. This was something refined, artful, devastating. She learned to move like a flame in zero gravity, guided by Oryx, a ballet warrior who wore perfume and carried 8 knives. She mastered the twin fang blades, razor-thin plasma sabers disguised as jewelry, taught by Blade Mother Vivi, whose heels were spike-loaded and whose kisses killed. She studied target elegance, a psychological warfare method that included posture, taunt timing, and emotional contrast. Make them want to worship you, Vivi purred. Then make them scream. Her body adapted. Her scars vanished. Her posture shifted. Naira Voss, Earthborn Scout, disappeared. In her place stood something new. Voss reborn, clad in mirror armor, silent fury behind glowing eyes, laced with performance tech and the scent of electro-blood. And yet, she never forgot Drust-Eater. The screams of Alpha Squad, the betrayal of silence, the way Vraxen had watched her die, not with malice, but with contempt. Then came the gift. Cale summoned her to the sanctum, a chamber of light silk walls and obsidian thrones. The entire syndicate was present. No applause, just silence. A black data ring hovered before her. Inside it, classified coordinates, threat summaries, digital DNA. Your first, Cale said, Warlord Thornkrell, Pulse Tyrant. He turned your comms officer's brain into soup. Make it unforgettable. Naira took the ring and slid it onto her finger. Her heart didn't race. It slowed. Mira clicked softly in her skull. The hunt begins. That night, she sat alone in the ship's neural chamber. Stars shimmered above her, projected, silent. Mira joined her there, appearing in a cascade of prism fractals, a goddess of broken glass and mirrored wings. You know Earth will not call you back, she said. They've closed the file. They've buried your name. You could vanish. Be whoever you want. Hey, you have no leash. Naira looked up. I don't need Earth to remember me. I just need them to. She opened her hand, and in her palm, 12 names etched themselves in glowing red. 12 Lost Scouts. Her squad, her people, her purpose. Before the jump to their first target, the syndicate held a performance in her honor. The drop room lit up with laser silk and baselines so deep they bent metal. One by one, twinks danced across the walls, ceilings, and air itself, each wielding weapons as extensions of self-expression. A sword sang, a gun cried, a whip painted light across the walls. Then Naira stepped into the center. Her armor, sleek, brutal, beautiful, high-collared, plated in obsidian violet, fractal trimmed at the joints. Twin blades sat holstered at her thighs, glinting like starlight caught in blood. Cale bowed before her. Go, he said. You are not a ghost. You are the myth they beg never to awaken. The platform dropped, gravity snapped, and Naira Voss descended toward death, not to plead, not to warn, but to show the galaxy what vengeance looked like when it smiled. Naira fell from the sky, not like a soldier, like a symphony in descent. Gravity curled around her like ribbon as a drop pod screamed through the clouds of Acron 5, leaving a trail of molten silver behind her. Inside the chamber, she stood still, eyes glowing, breath even. Her new armor, twink-forged and sinfully sleek, adjusted to atmosphere pressure mid-fall. Mira pulsed calmly in her skull. Target, Warlord Thornkrell. Bio ID confirmed. Location, Pulse Fortress, Planetary South. Civilian presence, minimal. Kill permission, maximal. Naira's jaw tightened. Then let's compose a masterpiece. The pod split open at 2,000 feet. She leapt into air, spun once mid-freefall, and landed without sound in the courtyard of the Pulse Fortress, knees bent, blade humming, breath like a blade unsheathed. It was a cathedral to tyranny, stone fused with circuitry, metal veins running through obsidian pillars. Drones hovered like angels above stained glass windows carved with scenes of conquest. Children kneeling before war machines, civilians reduced to ash. Thornkrell's personal palace of power, a monument to subjugation. 2 guards turned toward her, startled, armor glowing with pulse rifles already lifting. Naira didn't give them time to speak. She moved like silk on fire. 1 heartbeat, 2 deaths. Her left blade whispered across the neck of the first, clean, red, elegant. Her right blade sang into the second's chest, through rib, heart, spine. She twirled between their falling bodies, spun the blades back into holster position, and flicked a single strand of blood from her wrist. 2 down, Mira murmured. 72 to go. They came like a swarm. Thornkrell private guard, heavy armor, enhanced reflexes, brutes carved from war blood. But Naira had trained under the Syndicate. She was no longer bound by the laws of traditional combat. She performed. In the South Hall, she vaulted off a ceiling beam, flipped, and cut through 3 throats before touching the ground. In the Eastern Corridor, she ricocheted off wall-mounted force fields, using the repulsion to accelerate her blade swings, cleaving torsos like paper. In the center atrium, she made an art installation out of a heavy gunner, pierced both his hands, ripped out his plasma battery, and used it to vaporize for incoming attackers in a wave of golden fire. The hole lit with flames, screams, and Naira, standing in the middle of it all, breathing slow, eyes glowing violet. Mira updated her as she moved, mapping enemy movements in her neural display. You're making quite the entrance. Warlord's biosignature just spiked, heart rates rising. He's afraid. Let's turn that into something operatic. She reached the pulse throne by nightfall, doors 20 feet high, blood smeared across their mirror chrome. Her armor, once gleaming, was now streaked with ash and black gold arterial spray. Her hair clung to her jawline, damp with effort, yet her posture remained flawless, spine straight, blade sharp, gaze unwavering. The doors opened with a hiss. Inside, bathed in flickering violet light, stood the monster. Thornkrell towered at 8 feet. Once human, now twisted by biotech and ego. His flesh was metal-strung and overgrown, a mass of mechanical arteries, pulse-reactive plating, and living nerve hardware. His voice, when he spoke, was 3 voices at once, all angry. Earth sends back its dead. Or has the Syndicate dressed up a corpse in glitter and called it hope? Naira stepped forward. You killed my team. You mocked our screams. I'm here to take yours. He roared, his arms splitting into cannon clusters. Energy hummed. But Naira didn't flinch. She launched forward with a movement so fast it blurred light. The fight was not a duel. It was a composition. Every strike was a stanza. Every dodge, a beat. Every blade clash, a chord struck in blood. Thornkrell launched a plasma barrage. Naira cartwheeled under it, blade sparking against the floor, then threw 1 blade mid-spin. It embedded in his side, sent him crashing backward into his throne. He recovered, roared, and ripped out the embedded weapon, firing it back at her. She caught it mid-air, spun, and plunged it into the floor, activating a burst field that knocked him into the air. She leapt, mid-spin, colliding with him in a ballet of destruction, her legs locking around his neck, blades cutting arcs through his artificial organs. He screamed, not in pain, in shock, because he realized then, she wasn't here to fight. She was here to end. He slammed her against the wall. Hard. Metal cracked. Her back bled. But she smiled, because while he fought to survive, she fought with purpose. She activated her final weapon, the lucent shard, a sliver of compressed light, forged from the core of a dead star, hidden beneath her spine. It grew from her palm. She shoved it into his mouth. The warlord convulsed. Lights across his body flickered. Tell the others, she said, leaning close as his neural net began to combust. Earth remembers. And we're writing new scripture. In blood. The lucent shard detonated. Soundlessly, A burst of light so pure, it erased his head from existence. His body collapsed like a marionette with its strings cut. Smoke curled from the sockets of what remained. Naira stood over his ruin. The throne chamber, once a monument to power, now smelled of ozone, scorched nerve tissue, and burnt pride. Her blades retracted. She straightened her shoulders. "Mirror," she said, voice quiet, "broadcast the footage to all Warlord frequencies. Let them see what comes next." The footage played like art. Her descending from the sky, the screams, the elegance, Thornkrell's final moments. Across 100 systems, Warlords turned pale. Across 1,000 terminals, the dead scout of Earth became myth reborn. Back aboard the Voltrix, Kayla waited her in the debrief chamber, glass in hand, grin wide. Now that was an entrance. She didn't smile. She just nodded. One down. Kale offered her the next ring. It hovered in the air, glowing with a name. Warlord Syrinx, the Red Choir, architect of the Carterra massacre. Naira took it. "I'm ready." Mira purred in her skull. On to the next movement, Maestro. And so began the Requiem of us. Not a war, not a warning, a performance, one warlord at a time. The stars above Syrinx's domain pulse red, not from natural phenomena, but from the rhythmic emissions of the Red Choir, a relentless signal that had driven countless systems into madness. Naira Voss stood on the bridge of the Voltrix, eyes fixed on the crimson-hued planet below. The air was thick with anticipation, the kind that precedes a storm. "Mira," she spoke, her voice steady, "initiate descent protocols." "Coordinates locked," the AI responded. "Welcome to the heart of dissonance." The descent was turbulent. As the Voltrix pierced the planet's atmosphere, waves of sonic interference battered its hull. The Red Choir's song was not just auditory. It was a weapon designed to disorient and destroy. Naira felt it seep into her bones, a cacophony of screams, wails, and distorted harmonies. But she had trained for this. Her neural implants filtered the noise, allowing her to focus. Approaching the capital, Mira informed. Visuals from the Citadel of Echoes. The structure loomed, a twisted amalgamation of spires and speakers, pulsating with malevolent energy. Touchdown was precise. Naira disembarked, her boots making contact with the scarlet-hued ground. The atmosphere was dense, the air vibrating with the choir's relentless dirge. She advanced, each step calculated. The path to the Citadel was lined with statues, once living beings, now petrified in eternal agony, their faces contorted in silent screams. Victims of the choir, Mira noted, their neural pathways overloaded by the song. Naira's grip tightened on her blades. This was not just a mission, it was a reckoning. Inside the Citadel, the walls pulsed. The architecture was alive, resonating with the choir's rhythm. As Naira navigated the corridors, she encountered the resonance, Syrinx's enforcers, their bodies modified to amplify and project the deadly song. The first attack came without warning. A resonant emerged, emitting a sonic blast that shattered the surrounding walls. Naira dodged, countering with a swift strike that silenced the creature. More followed, each more aggressive than the last. But Naira moved with purpose, her movement a dance of death, her blade slicing through the cacophony. The throne room was a chamber of horrors. At its center stood Warlord Syrinx, a towering figure adorned with instruments of torment. His eyes glowed with malevolence, and his voice was the embodiment of the choir. "Another lamb to the slaughter," he sneered. Naira stepped forward, unflinching. "I'm the conductor of your demise." The battle commenced. Syrinx's attacks were relentless. He wielded the choir like a symphony of destruction, each note a weapon. The room vibrated with lethal harmonies, threatening to tear Naira apart. But she adapted. Her implants synchronized with the frequencies, allowing her to anticipate and counter. She closed the distance, engaging Syrinx in close combat. Their clash was titanic, blade against sound, will against madness. Naira's strikes were precise, each one disrupting the warlord's rhythm. The climax was brutal. With a final surge, Naira drove her blade into Syrinx's core. The choir faltered, its song turning into a dissonant wail. "This is for my fallen comrades," she whispered. Syrinx's body convulsed. the instruments on his form exploding in a cascade of sparks. The warlord collapsed, his reign silenced. Silence returned to the citadel. The oppressive song ceased, replaced by an eerie calm. Naira stood amidst the ruins, her mission complete. Target eliminated. Mirror confirmed. Naira nodded, her gaze distant. Prepare for extraction. Back aboard the Voltrix, the crew waited. Kale approached, his expression a mix of admiration and concern. Another warlord down, but at what cost? Naira looked out at the stars. The cost of justice. The last warlord didn't live on a planet. He was one. They called him Zirith Ka, the world sovereign, a living fusion of godhood, machine, and memory. He orbited a black sun in the uncharted system of HFY X, where no scout ever returned, because they were never simply killed. They were absorbed. Their screams still echoed through subspace. Naira Voss stood aboard the Voltrix, armor cracked, soul stained, eyes darker than when her journey began. She had burned her way across the galaxy, danced in blood, silenced gods with elegance and wrath. Now, she faced the origin of it all. Mirror pulsed quietly in her neural socket. No known escape trajectories from HFY X. If you go, it's final. Naira smiled. Not from peace. From certainty. Then play the last track, Mirror. Let's write the end. Arrival. The moment the Voltrix entered Zirith Ka's orbit, the ship screamed. Literally, walls trembled. Lights dimmed. Memory ghosts flickered. Kale's face twisted, glitching, whispering warnings from another life. Time bent. Naira aged a year in 5 seconds and reversed. Mirror shrieked in her skull. His mind is infecting reality. Naira leapt from the ship in freefall, not toward a structure, but toward flesh. Zirith Ka planetary body was a fusion of iron and meat. Spires of bone. Oceans of synthetic blood. Eyes, real eyes, watching her from every surface. And a voice, a deep, ancient, cosmic voice that did not echo in her ears, but in her bones. The last daughter of Earth returns to the father of its fall. Naira landed hard, knees crunching against steel flesh. I'm not your daughter, she growled, drawing her twin blades. I'm your execution. The final terrain was not built. It was birthed. She ran across shifting flesh pavement, muscles twitching beneath her boots, faces moaning in the wind, begging her to leave, begging her to join them. Phantom figures appeared, her dead crew. Juno, screaming as she was impaled by Krell. Audon, vaporized by the red choir's sound wave. Kale, alive, but half disintegrated, whispering, "It's not too late, Naira. Be free." She passed through them. "You're not real," she said coldly, "but my rage is." Zirith Ka fought without form. He weaponized guilt, memory, time itself. Her blades passed through illusions, through the ghost of her mother, through the face of Earth's first dying child. She stumbled once, then rose, then raged. She called on every twink technique, every syndicate protocol, every emotion she had buried beneath layers of grief and steel. She stabbed guilt in the face. She burned memory with light. She broke time with speed. Finally, at the core of his world body, she found his heart. It pulsed inside a cathedral of ribs the size of cities, suspended above a lake of black glass, guarded by him, now not just a voice, but a presence, a being of impossible proportions, part human, part data, part universe. Zirith Ka formed fully before her. He was beautiful, terrifying, majestic, a god carved from all the lives he had ended. Why persist? He asked, voice calm now, almost intimate. You are no longer vengeance. You are memory. Naira didn't blink. Then remember this. She ran. The final battle was myth, not war, not combat. Something older, something sacred. Zirith Ka reshaped himself constantly, one moment a field of arms, the next a giant of chrome and flame. He knew her thought before she thought them. He anticipated every move. But Naira had no pattern. She was chaos wrapped in rhythm, emotion in blade form, the last conductor of Earth's music. She climbed his body, slid down his spine, threw a blade into one of his infinite eyes. and screamed as the pulse feedback shattered her ribs. He stabbed her with memory. She staggered, reliving the moment Juno died in her arms. The final words, "Don't forget us." "You carry corpses like medals," Zerith Ka murmured. "You seek closure, but I offer infinity." Naira spit blood. "I don't want infinity. I want justice." She plunged a remaining blade into his heart node, felt it pierce 1,000 minds. Screams. All of them. Children. Lovers. Fathers. Scouts. Earth. Zerith Ka collapsed. Not with a roar. With a sigh. The entire world groaned. His voice cracked. "I remember now." Earth sang. And we silenced it. Naira dragged herself up his twitching chest. And now we play the final note. The loose end shard, one last piece, one last trick, hidden in her spine for this. She pulled it free. It flickered like dying starlight. And with no more words, she shoved it into his core. Explosion. No fire. Just light. Silence. Peace. Naira drifted in zero gravity. The world beneath had disintegrated. Zerith Ka body crumbled, atom by atom, and from the wreckage of godhood, she floated upward, a soft whisper in her neural comms. Mirror, protocol completed, all systems. Silence. Even Mirror died. Her chute failed, oxygen low, body cracked, soul emptied. She looked out one last time, at the galaxy, at the stars, at the place her people had died, and she smiled, not because she survived, but because they mattered, because one voice sang loud enough to end a god. Epilogue. Years later, at the edge of a forgotten galaxy, a new species discovers an abandoned twink ring. Inscribed in it are the final words of Naira Voss. "We were not weak. We were not forgotten. We were not alone. Earth fell, but we sang.